This pair of keys can bring you up to 55,000 euros back from your taxes, and I want to show you the whole procedure and how it looks like from the start all the way to the finish with the princess treatment as well, so definitely stick it there. This 72 square meter apartment in the heart of Sendling, only a 4-minute walk away from the nearest Expat, is actually going to be your key to getting up to 55,000 euros back from the taxes. I want to show you every single detail and every single number from the A to the Z in the apartment, how it looks like from before when we go upstairs right now, how it looks like in the middle of renovating it when you see the actual handwerker inside the apartment itself, and then drive to exactly the same apartment post its makeup and post its modernization, so you can see exactly how the future of your apartment is going to look like. This is going to be the realest expat real estate guideline that you will ever receive within these platforms. So let me take you with me. Welcome to exactly what your future gold mine is going to look like, and why the tax office might hate you because you're going to be able to reclaim all of this back within your first year. Let's take a smaller look. We talked about it a little bit. A 72 square meter apartment within the heart of Sendling. And let's start out with the most important information, because this apartment, as you can see, down to the stone, has been fully ripped out and replaced with brand new equipment. And the very first thing that we need to replace and must replace in every single apartment is the electricity. If we take a quick look into it, you'll see over here that you've got the very old VW shelters, actually from the 1970s. And a nice little small fact is, if you need to modernize or if you're going to renovate a small apartment or anything smaller than the apartment, you need to legally actually replace the whole electricity onto the latest status of the year 2026 with the brand new electric standards. Why? Because back in the 1970s, getting a lot electrocuted within your apartment was a lot more common than it was in 2026. We spoke about the electricity, and now let's speak about the kitchen, let's call it like that, or the very first room. You're gonna see it's really spacious. There's obviously not a kitchen here anymore. Instead, a lot of bow equipment, you can tell basically what goes as effort behind the whole actual modernization itself. But why is there no kitchen here is the great question. Well, remember what our goal is. Our goal is to maximize the return for our investors, as well as create as much living space for all of our tenants. What does that mean? Can I show you exactly what I mean? Because this whole kitchen room before has gotten fully ripped out. We will fully also plug all of these so that it looks exactly like you can see it over here within these walls, plastered with some Trockenbau. And then we're gonna create this into a new living space, because a kitchen is cool if you're gonna have a separate room with a separate kitchen. But if you're able to get 600 euros from an extra room, well, that's exactly what we do. And that's exactly what we provide to you as well. Let's take another look into how your classical room is also going to be looking like. Obviously, it's not so pretty right now, but you can tell one small thing, which is if you look into just the walls all over around you over here, you're gonna tell that the plaster and the gyps for the new walls have already been replaced. And these are built on the old basis of the building itself, which, if you just want to zoom in a little bit here, you can get to tell the difference between the new plastered gyps and the wall, and as well our structures, versus the old stone from the building itself, which we fully then scroll down all the way back to the bottom and into its original format, and then onboard and onput the brand new layers so that it can be insulated and that you can utilize it and look at the end like an Airbnb room. I just want you to imagine one small thing before I get into the next apartment, into the next room, which is this whole room over here will be fully equipped with a bed, with your cupboard, as well as also with your Schreibtisch, so your desk, so that the young professional, aka can be also a student, move in with only a backpack and then move out and not need to stress himself with absolutely any single thing. And now while we're already actually at it, I'd love for us to look into one of the most important elements of every single apartment and every single modernization that we do, and that is our heating. Because this is a lot more of a relevant term that we are getting to feel within the years 2026 and all the way within our future, because guess what? Yeah, we've been treating our environment quite terribly and using such old heaters the whole time. So what do? Well, once I snap, you're gonna see exactly how these heaters get fully replaced and having brand new heaters for the standard of 2026. Obviously, the windows themselves cannot be replaced, and real estate professionals will actually be able to tell me why, because the windows are always courtesy of the whole building as well as the door itself. And that means if we need to do anything within the windows or within the door, we need to get the approval of the whole building. So we don't want to disturb the building and we don't want to incur extra costs that would not help us as much. Hence, we keep it the way that it is. Or if we have the whole building under our ownership, then we definitely do switch this out as well. Now, let's get into the next rooms, because this room, for example, around 12 square meters, going to be able to yield you 800 euros of rent just purely from these 12 square meters over here. And remember, when we looked on the other room, ripped out the kitchen and be able to get at least 600 euros from this room. Now let's get even more money and get into the third room. Now, one thing that you're gonna tell with every single one of the apartments is, believe it or not, the layout is actually quite boring. Why am I saying it's quite boring? It's because we do every single thing with exactly the same system. Heater, just like the old one in the other room, ripped out and fully replaced. All of the floors have been brought down and fully ripped out onto the actual basis of the building. And that's when we lay down a new layer of fully real wooden parquet that is able to last you at least for the next 20 years. And a small hint why we use real parquet is because it's a lot quicker and a lot more efficient to actually replace it in the future, because you don't need to rip it out. You can just scrape a new layer, oil it up again, and within one day you basically have brand new flooring. And now that I'm speaking about the floors, I want us to zoom up to the ceiling, because you're going to find one thing that's very, very special. You're going to see that there's actually a small gap between the real ceiling, which maybe if we can zoom in very much inside, you'll see the real ceiling, and then you see a false ceiling in which we bring down our signature spotlight LEDs that firstly give the tenant himself a much better feeling of the room itself, because it is lit up in every single area of the room itself, minimum of at least 5 light bulbs within a 12 square meter room. I don't even have this in my own one, but equally as important is we want to standardize our system. And as you can see, the spotlight LEDs as well, I mean, you can't see it now, but you'll definitely see it in the apartment after it's done. They give the best looks for us to be able to rent it out at the best rates within the market as well, because everybody wants to be in a room that looks like an Airbnb. And trust me, that's what we guarantee you, even contractually as well. Now, I want to take a look into one of the most important and actually one of the most expensive elements within every single one of our apartments, which is the place where you usually spend most of your time scrolling on the phone. And that is right here, the lovely toilet. Now, as you can see right there, there's been some works that are taking place, and obviously I can't sit on this toilet right here, even though I would love to. But other than the fact that I'm saying right now, and why is it so expensive? Because it is always the fact that sanitary equipment is the most expensive to switch out. And when we look behind all of this, we get to see the fact that there's old plumbings and there's old pipings. And what do we need to do with these old plumbings and old pipings? Well, they've been standing since within this building in the 1970s. We need to replace them. And this is what we do exactly with a Kernsanierung, is that we bring all of the modernization down to even the plumbing and the piping, so that you have absolutely zero stress in the future. All of this will be fully ripped out, including the floor, including the whole bathtub, including the toilet behind me as well, and definitely including the heater, and most definitely also including this little mirror over here. And as well as all of the electric, which you can already actually see over here. It will be fully replaced again with brand new electric that we're building throughout the whole apartment. This toilet right here will be fully replaced with a Villeroy and Boch toilet or a Gerbere toilet. We get to see which brands that we use, but we must only use the best quality brands as well. And for the reasons of actually not incurring extra costs for absolutely zero reason, we're not going to build in another bathtub. Instead, we use our signature walk-in shower that firstly gives you that Airbnb look, and secondly, saves us a lot of costs when we need to actually modernize the apartment. And what is our promise to our clients? Maximize your returns. And that's why we utilize a system that never changes and optimizes every single small bit, all the way from what materials we use until what literally type of bathtub or shower that we need to utilize within our actual toilets themselves. And now let's take a look at the final and most important crucial element, which is where I like to spend most of my time, kitchen, believe it or not. What did we do? Well, as you can see, we built a new wall so that we can able to utilize the room right behind you, which was an ex-kitchen, as an extra room to get 600 euros more rent, and then be able to structure or section a room that would have been around 25 square meters, or 22 square meters to be more exact, into a kitchen that is going to be, you can imagine over here, fully equipped with every single thing that you need in order for the tenant to move in once again with a backpack and leave after 2 years without needing to bring a single thing extra. We're going to do a corner kitchen over here, equipped with a fully equipped stove with, as well as an oven with inside of it, a dishwasher machine, as well as a washing machine that is at the same time also a dryer machine, a big refrigerator fully equipped in order to be able to house the 4 new tenants that will be able to live here, and finally all of the equipment that they need for them to cook, clean, and then afterwards move out of the apartment and then bring some new tenants in. Instead of having 2 bigger sleeping rooms as well as 1 bigger Wohnzimmer, which would have maybe brought me around the 1,600 euros if I had fully modernized it also and never changed the layout as my cold rent, I'm now able to get up to 3,100 euros from every single of the 1, 2, 3, and 4 rooms. Now, you know the truth behind exactly what you're buying. You know the strategies that the elite use over these last 10 years and have perfected and then given to you on a golden plate. And now let's take a look onto how your apartment is going to look like after I put a little bit of makeup on what I call every single one of my apartments, which is I treat them like princesses, because guess what? When you put makeup on them, they look a lot better. And welcome to your princess where she put on some makeup. Let's start out with exactly what we saw in our past apartment. Remember the EV shelter I was talking about from before? Now this is what's actually legally acceptable in 2026. And behind all of this is what we see right on the top of us, which are all of these spotlight LEDs that have, remember from the other room, now finally put the light bulbs inside and not just holes in the wall. And that's what takes us into the very first room and how it always looks like in every single one of the rooms. Remember all the rubble that we saw in the other one? Well, believe it or not, the rubble can actually turn into exactly this masterpiece that we speak about. When we go in directly into the apartment, we'll see on the floor, it's always real wooden parquet that we need to use because remember, it's always easier and more durable in the future when you want to replace it as well or fix it up. And in every single one of our furnishings, we utilize exactly the same elements and they never differ. The only thing that can differ is, believe it or not, the bed size, and that's it. So we start out either with a 180 or a 120 or 150 square centimeter bed, as well as a desk so that the young professional or the student can bring in his laptop or bring his working equipment and then set it up over here, as well as a full Schrank, aka a full wardrobe as well for them to utilize. All of the equipment is from IKEA. And now I'm taking a small trip outside. I'd like to also highlight a little bit about the doors. Real wood, not plastic, as well as the door frames as well. And a small nice bonus addition that we always add is actually a moisture as well as a temperature regulator that the tenants need to utilize so that what we call in German Schimmel, aka a lot of fungus, which we have very commonly here in Germany, does not build up. And if it does, then we know it was because the tenant was not opening the other window properly enough. And now let's take a look into the middle of the hallway in the middle of the apartment. We want to utilize our space as efficiently as possible. And if that just so happens to mean that we need to cut down the space within the hallways and bring a lot more space towards the rooms themselves, because we can see the second room over here, if I had extended the hallway all the way to here, well, he would have had a lot less space within his room to sleep and then do everything that he wants to do. And in exactly this concept, what do all of the tenants require? Well, they require space within their room because they're specifically renting it out their room and using a little bit of the common space as well. And when we speak about common space, this is where we get to one of the biggest highlights of the whole apartment, which is going to be, follow me here. Remember the old plumbings that were sticking out of the wall and the new Trockenbau or the new drywall plates that we had built so we can build a new kitchen? Well, I want you to use a lot of imagination because this is exactly how it's going to look like. Every single apartment looks exactly the same and we never utilize a different standard. Starting off with a 4i stove that is from Siemens, as well as also obviously the ventilator from Bosch as well. And remember the dishwasher that I was speaking about the whole time. Here it is from Siemens too. And then the fully equipped oven, as well as, believe it or not, that big fridge that we have promised and talked about the whole time, actually with a freezer too. For your tenants to not need to go downstairs to the keller or whatsoever, we've got a Bosch washer as well as dryer machine for them to remember our promise, which is bring a backpack, move in, stay in for your 1 to 2 years, and then move out, and then we'll bring somebody else new so that you as an investor can benefit from higher rents as well as a better business case. And now we will also take a look into the final element, which just so happens to be the one that usually smells the worst in the apartment, but here it actually smells the best and looks like one of the best. And here we specifically section it into 2 sections, which is firstly the bathroom, which does not have the toilet seat on it. These walk-in showers that utilize the space efficiently. We utilize Vigor, as we have spoken about. We've got a nice cabinet for all of the tenants to utilize as well. Brand new toilet hangers and heaters that we always utilize. And now we've got a whole separate toilet room for them too. Once again, Vigor. And then when we speak about the toilet itself, we're talking about Geberit for the brand itself too. A nice little small mirror. Every single thing that you need for all of your tenants in this apartment to utilize it efficiently. And obviously in the final room, it is, surprise, exactly the same. There's not a single thing that is different, except we already got a tenant in this one. Jokes to the side, this is our absolute superstar, Lars, that will be joining us. And he is the person that will be putting tenants within this apartment and providing you with your next apartment in exactly this condition over here. And this is the full walkthrough of this apartment. Now, this was no examples. This was actually nothing but reality. We're showing you how it looks like from before and how exactly it's going to look like afterwards. And for somebody like you, working in Germany, living here multiple years, what are you paying every single month? Taxes, a lot of them. And what is our goal? In order for you to be able to finally save some of these taxes, in order for you to be able to finally build something sustainable for your family in the long term, in one of the most secure locations in the whole world, Germany. There's a big reason why you came to this country, but there's also a big reason why you're struggling so much. And that's exactly what I wanted to show you with this full walkthrough. And join us in being an owner of exactly 1 or 2 or 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 of these rooms so that you can provide new tenants with a new home. Now, if this beautiful apartment either sparked your interest or maybe raised a couple of questions, then I recommend you to check out the bio. We've got multiple resources to show you who do these concepts work for, how do we make these concepts work, and whether this makes sense in your specific individual situation. Thank you very much for watching. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.